Hello, and welcome back to Chapter 3, Organizing Textbook Information from our textbook, Bridging the Gap. This chapter has 3 learning objectives. We've already taken a look at the first 2, and now we're going to take a look at the third objective, making notes from textbook reading. Specifically, we're going to be talking about how to create an outline. First of all, what is an outline? Well, it's a tool that we use to organize information about the topic, and we do that in a logical order that identifies the relationships between the information being presented in the chapter. An outline is a rough sketch with the main ideas and the topics and the details that are necessary to learn about in the chapter. So what ideas are used in an outline? Well, as I said, we're going to look at arranging major topics, subtopics, main ideas, supporting details, and we'll even throw in keywords in there as a place to locate our information for our definitions. So what's the format? Well, outlines are typically an alphanumeric outline. That's an outline that uses letters and numbers. So here's an example. So we use Roman numerals, and the Roman numerals represent the main topics to be covered in the chapter. Then one step down from that are uppercase letters, and that represents the subtopics. Further on down line, we have Arabic numbers, and those numbers are used to represent the details or the subdivisions within the topics. Then we move down even lower into lowercase letters, and that represents even smaller details within the subdivisions. Now we can go even lower and use numbers again, but this is the basic format of our alphanumeric outline. Now here's an example of something that we're going to do with our textbook. The chapter title comes first, and then we'll list the main topic or the first section. In our textbook, that's typically the learning objectives. So you'll see that the Roman numeral 1 would be our first learning objective. On down at the bottom, the Roman numeral 2 would be our second learning objective. And then all the information in between deals with the information that's in each section. There might be subsections or subheadings. There'll be key vocabulary words, main ideas, supporting details, and so forth. And so we're going to be taking a look at that as we move forward in this video. So here are some guidelines to follow. First of all, make sure that you've previewed the chapter. Get a general idea of what it's about. Then when you go to write your outline, instead of copying things word for word in the main ideas and the supporting details, use phrases and put it in your own words. And be selective. Not everything in the chapter is of equal importance. So you need to make sure that you're maintaining high quality information in your outline. And when you're done outlining, go back and indicate key terms with a yellow highlighter, or you could even annotate your notes a little bit using main idea, etc. Some people use underlines for the main idea, or they go back and they highlight the main idea of each topic or subtopic in their outlines when they're finished. That's a choice that you can choose. In Canvas, you'll find a few online videos that you can take a look that show you how to outline. This one in particular, how to outline your textbook. This young lady shows a similar method. She makes it a little bit easier. She doesn't get into it until about halfway into the video. She does a lot of explaining in the beginning. If you want to listen to that, go ahead. If not, go ahead and fast forward into about partway into the video where she starts actually taking the notes. There's another one, how to write the perfect outline. It's shorter, and it pretty much explains what I just got through explaining. She does take you through an example and lists the outline on the screen for you. And finally, this one here, creating an outline in Word. That's what I'm going to show you. This person does a really nice job detailing it. I'm not going to show you how to outline in Word. I'm going to show you how I'm going to set up Chapter 7 inference in our Bridging the Gap textbook. And I'm going to use Word for that. So I'm not really going to show you how to use the tools in Word. That's what this person does here, and she does a fabulous job with it. So I recommend watching that in order to complete your assignment. So let's take a look at how I would like you to start outlining Chapter 7 in your book. Here we have the beginnings of an outline for Chapter 8, Point of View, in our Bridging the Gap textbook. That begins on page 415. Now, I've already pre-populated this page with 4 Roman numerals. And if you look on page 415, those are actually the learning objectives for the chapter. So what I did is I went through the chapter and I looked at the different sections. And on page 416, that's the first section. What is the author's point of view? Then I simply went through the entire chapter and I typed those different section headings. Now what I need to do is I need to go back and I need to identify the subheadings, if there are any subheadings, in the first section. What is the author's point of view? Well, I take a look at that first section and I see something in green called Textbooks and the Author's Point of View. So I type that up as part of that same section. Again, on page 417, I find another one that's called What is Bias? And so I simply include that as another section. Going through the rest of the pages, I see one more. And that one more section is called The Importance of the Reader's Point of View. What I'm doing is I'm building up, if what is the author's point of view is our main topic, then these different pieces or subtopics fall underneath the author's point of view. Now, what I can do even further is go through and now find out other information about textbooks and the author's point of view. So I'm going back and now I'm on page 416 again. And I would read that section and maybe I'm going to type a main idea of a paragraph or two that's in there. And what is bias? Well, if I've got a question like that, I'm probably going to put the definition down. So it's important for me to make sure that I've got a definition for that. And it actually lists that on page 417. Maybe there's some other information I'd like to pull out of there. Now, when we move on to facts and opinions, I notice that in that section that begins on page 423, that there's no real green section there. So I'm not sure, how do I take notes there? How do I outline that? Well, that's when you skim through each paragraph and you put in the main ideas and you look for any key or bold words that might be important for you to list and define there. For example, the learning objective is distinguishing between facts and opinions. And the question is, what are facts and opinions? On page 424, I see those two words in bold print. And I can go back and I can define both of those words in my outline. Maybe a letter C down here would be maybe an example of a fact, and D could be an example of an opinion. So I have my definitions as well as examples there. And I keep going through the text, looking for main ideas, looking for subtopics, looking for key words and major details that would help support the main idea. So this gets us started. And the idea then is for you to go through chapter 8 and finish the rest of it. Now, you'll come across some situations that you're not quite sure what to do. Just do your very best in creating the outline, and we'll talk about it later. The outline assignment that you have for this week is to finish the outline for chapter 8, Point of View, in our Bridging the Gap textbook. And the second assignment is to take a chapter in another book that you've read or a reading passage that you've already read and create an outline, and making sure that you put down topics, subtopics, main ideas, key supporting details, major details, and any key words, following the examples that I showed you in this video. Good luck creating your outlines, and I hope to see them soon.